when he practiced before spring split, it was kind of similar. Like people fought a lot, but in the actual match, people started playing passive again. So yeah, I think people are gonna be passive again after maybe lose some games, they lose confidence. But I will not do that.
I'm glad to hear you won't be doing that because I don't like that passive stuff either. I want to see some action on the Rift. Thank you all for joining me here for the final game of the day, which pits Golden Guardians versus Echo Fox. Let's go ahead and take a look at the teams playing on stage today. Selecting the blue side, it's the Golden Guardians with Haunter in the top lane. Contracts back at it in the jungle. Froggen at mid with Deathly and Ole bottom lane and support, and coaches Jimmy and Potluck.
And facing them on the red side today, their opponents are going to be Echo Fox. In the top lane, Solo. In the jungle, Kindboy himself, Rush. Mid lane, Yasui. Bot and support going to be Lost and Hakuo with Coach Song.
Yeah, this is going to be a pretty big thing for Echo Fox here. After their last-minute surge to playoffs in spring, they come here into Week 1 summer with some pretty big shakeups.
Yeah, it's honestly strange to see Apollo and Hakuo, no longer together. It is Lost coming back in, making his return to the LCS stage. Rick Fox, he's on the climb. Iron 3, baby, let's go.
Flexer Rick. Yeah, he's making the climb.
He was Iron 4 shortly ago, so Iron 2 on the horizon.
Oh, yeah.
It's only on the up and up.
A matter of time, my friend.
Exactly.
A matter of time.
Challenger by next week, Rick. We got it in. But, Lost, he came from OCE. He performed very well, actually, when he had originally made his debut on the LCS stage. But some players had kind of felt like he had gotten figured out. It was mostly his Varus that was really threatening. Now he has spent some time in Academy, back to the LCS stage, and excited to see how he's going to do.
And as Echo Fox does make these tweaks and adjustments to their roster, they go against a team whose spring roster moves brought them from back-to-back 10th to a 5th place finish, and they're only aiming to go higher from here.
I mean, this org has really been improving. In 2018, it was the joke. It was, back-to-back 10th, but also in Academy, and now solidly in playoffs. They're one game away from semifinals. They've also made, some Academy roster changes, looking to improve there as well, adding Darshan, FBI, another OC import, who has a lot of hype coming out of that region. When you talk to any of the OC casters, they'll tell you how good this guy is. And then also, Huhi making his swap over to support. So, the org making a lot of changes, had a lot of good growth in spring, and we're going to see if they can continue that here in summer.
And I'm excited to see how both these teams start off their split specifically, because remember, Golden Guardians, despite the fact that they finished 5th, had a very rough start to the split in spring. Echo Fox had a trench of losses in the middle of their split that they bounced back from in order to earn that playoff spot by the end. I want to see if either of them can sort of shake off those bad starts, get out the gate running here in summer, and we'll see if they can do just that. We're into the picks and bans. It's Yuumi and Tarek banned out for the Golden Guardians. No love for the support role as Echo Fox takes out the Varus and that Galio.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to point out, as you say, Golden Guardians started 0-4. It was also a 6-loss streak for Echo Fox, kind of when they had swapped away from Rush. They then kind of went back to him and started to have that success again. Now, obviously, having settled on Rush, but having shaken up a fair bit of their roster after making playoffs, I have been hearing that they're doing very well in the scrims, that these guys are certainly performing and kind of earned their slots through their scrim performance. So it'll be interesting to see what Yasui and Lost in particular are going to be able to bring to the table here in this first game of the LCS.
Well, the last couple of bans are going to be the Aatrox and the Jace, and a very quick Irelia lock-in for the side of Golden Guardians.
All right, so Irelia coming out certainly feels more like, I would say, a Haunter champion to me. Froggen has been traditionally much more of those kind of late game scaling, control mage style of champions that he has really been going to. Didn't play Aurelia at all in spring, but then again, Haunter has no games played on the champion either, so this is something that they are looking to add to their arsenal. A lot of teams have been talking heavily about the importance of these flex picks after MSI, and feels like Golden Guardians trying to make that adaptation, trying to add that to their repertoire.
I mean, MSI was some of the closest international competition we've seen across the major regions ever in the history of competitive League of Legends, and a lot of it came down to how well can you play these kinds of champions, your Sylases, your Irelias, your Akalis, and we're going to get to see 2 out of those 3 champions I just named. Make it 3 out of 3 of those champions right there, here, along with that Rise. Pretty explosive champion select to start things off.
Yeah, I mean, this is feeling the most similar to the MSI drafts that we have been seeing really here today at all, right? This is very heavily prioritizing those flex picks. We'll see where these guys are going to be swapped around to. The early Ezreal pick kind of tells me that they want to play safe on the bottom side of the map, that they want to be playing heavily to these solo lanes. That is going to be the bread and butter, and Rush grabbing this Rek'Sai is going to give them an easier time to be able to play towards those solo lanes. We already know how strong the gank assist is from Ryze with that empowered W. That root is so long, and that, when teamed up with that Rek'Sai, is going to be really, really powerful. So Echo Fox are going to have the ability to target down some of the jungle picks from Contracts and try to have preferential 2v2s around these solo lanes.
I especially like seeing this pick on a guy who we heard from right before the game saying he's not going to play slow and passive even if everyone else does. That's what I want to see on a Rek'Sai player. Play aggressive, play early, play fast. As Kalista and Sejuani will be banned away, Echo Fox looking towards that pool of Contracts. As you said, they don't want to deal with this late game scaling meatball of a team fighter that's just going to have engage, going to try to avoid the fights early on. We'll see what else they want to go with. The Braum, preventing some more of that safety like you were talking about. They're saying, hey, they already have an Ezreal. We don't want to make their bottom lane this completely immovable object. Pick that off the table.
Yep, and on the other side, it is really kind of focusing on Lost here. You know, as I said, it had been a lot of talk about his Varus as his best performing champion by far when he had played in the LCS previously. That is obviously gone. There are a number of other AD carry bans thrown at him by the Golden Guardians here in the second round. Looking like we are going to be going towards a Nautilus support, and they are saving the bot lane pick for last here.
Oh, baby.
So that does always lead me to believe that there is a possibility of some of those spicier picks, things that are very lane focused along the lines of the Draven and some of those types of aggressive picks. You also can kind of go the other route, which is trying to outgreed your opponents and going for... You're the only man in the world who gets that excited for a Skarner.
Don't care. I got enough excitement for all the rest of y'all that are inappropriately unexcited, as Golden Guardians are going to be locking in the Skarner there for game number 1 of their summer split. Contracts will be on that one. We'll see how Echo Fox wants to respond. Sivir is a very good pick into a Skarner. Spell Shield and ulti feels badman. Of course, if you're a good Skarner, you pop it with the Q. Don't worry about it. Just
there you go. There you go. Dropping some knowledge on us. And Sivir also, I do think, you know, kind of the other option when you're going up against Ezreal, if you don't want to try to play something like the lane bully, you can try to essentially outgreed. You can look for those scaling options. Sivir is certainly that. If you do not want to play down to that bottom side of the map and Ezreal is just going to trade farm with Sivir, well, Sivir is very happy to do that. The ultimate also extremely impactful alongside all these champions that really do want to run into the fight. You're speeding up these 4 kind of brawlers that are going to be diving in onto the Golden Guardians.
And I really do like the outgreed the Ezreal strategy. That's what we first saw really start to win last split, when Ezreal was the cream of the crop, when it was just get Ezreal, use this double tier build that had ridiculous scaling. You're just saying, okay, well, I'm going to play Jinx or something like that that scales into this late game monster. You can't play Ezreal and outscale it. Sivir's a similar champion. Late game team fight decimation if she hits 6 items.
And this was really the Echo Fox strategy where they kind of found their groove down towards the end of the split. When they got those 4 straight wins, it was, you know, a different AD carry. It was Apollo, but they were playing Jinx, Tristana, Kog'Maw even. They were going for full-on scaling across the map oftentimes, and that is where they were finding a lot of their success.
All right, as we load into this game, I'll go ahead and tell you guys who's on what, since it was so many flex picks. It is the Sylas versus Akali top side. We got to see plenty of this matchup during MSI, and then it's going to be Ryze against Irelia there in the mid lane. Froggen, a guy that has done so much heavy lifting over the course of his career. Back in the days when he was on Echo Fox, it was the everybody give all the money to Froggen strategy. Not quite as much Froggen-centric here on Golden Guardians, but if you remember when they started to find their wins just last split, he was responsible for a lot of that work with his Karthus play.
Yeah, Froggen had played fantastically well for Golden Guardians last split, but I do think the Irelia is a very big change in playstyle, because traditionally when he is at his best, it is at those champions that want to trade farm, that want to scale to the late game, and Irelia is much more of that proactive style champion that wants to be getting aggressive here. That's kind of a little play that Rush has made. He's actually went out. This is something Kobe was talking about earlier. You start with Trinket Ward, you go out, you drop your ward, then you recall, you change to the sweeper, and you can have that sweeper ready for your first gank. But on the other side, Contracts has already started sweeper and is going to clear out that ward.
Contracts not too worried about needing to drop one of his own, sweeps that out, ends up just giving an extra little bit of gold over to his mid laner. As we'll see the Skarner points get captured. Remember, Skarner points are always more valuable if you take them with a buddy. You can only get 15 gold maximum per person, but they will give 30 gold over maximum period, so double up on the money as long as you got someone there to take it.
Power of teamwork and friendship.
Yeah, buddy. Teamwork pays, and friendship pays even more. But mid lane, Yusui versus Froggen here. Remember Yusui, this is a guy who had plenty of pop-off experiences in Academy. Last split for the side of Echo Fox A. He was the one who was often responsible for some pretty impressive score lines when they got those wins. And obviously the org has some faith in him to do the same thing here on the main LCS stage.
Yeah, a lot of faith, honestly. You know, bringing him up, you know, it's not as though they were really struggling in Spring Split. They made playoffs, right? This is a team that certainly had been performing well, and they're going to make those swaps regardless, you know, trying to shoot kind of for those higher highs that they believe this team is capable of.
Bottom side, you can see the other man brought up from the Academy squad here in Lost. See how well he's able to perform down here. Was paid respect in the champion select by the fact that Varus was banned away. Nobody wanted to deal with that from him. But Hakuo, normally, like you said, so long-standing duo with Apollo there, but now separated. We'll see the kind of synergy he's got built up with Lost here.
Yeah, that was kind of the former longest-running duo that kind of hadn't been interrupted in the LCS. Those guys had been playing together, you know, formerly on Clutch, then on Echo Fox. They had been together on those teams for so long, so it is now being broken up, and we'll see if it is going to pay off here for Echo Fox.
Froggen shoving the wave up here into Yusui in the mid lane. Rush coming around, but he will walk over a ward, which means Froggen is wise to his tricks, gets himself away towards the other end of the lane. Remember, if you're getting ganked from the side of the lane like that, you don't have to completely retreat back to your turret. It's easier to just run to the other side. Your opponent's really going to realize it's not worth it too much at that point. Hauntzer getting a slightly better of solo there in that top lane trade with the Sylas. Has biscuits as well as corrupting potions, which means he has lots of sustain here to trade.
And it wasn't just big that they actually spotted Rush for that mid lane gank, but that also meant Hauntzer had free reign to shove in that wave topside and not have to be worried about any potential Rek'Sai interference up there. So, you know, that alone, getting to reset that wave, that's such a dangerous spot for a top laner to ever be in when you're right outside that turret range. So, you know, really important ward that Golden Guardians did have.
Also means that as the jungler for Golden Guardians, you're aware that the enemy jungler is not making an early play. And as Predator Skarner that doesn't have your boots yet, you're not that effective of a ganker. So not worrying about having to match that, just continuing to farm up instead feels good for him. He did go back to base and get the boots now, so those Predator ganks will be online as Rush moves into the Golden Guardians jungle, but will not find a chicken camp to steal.
And a nice little trade there from Froggen, who still has his TP. Yusui had already gone back to base and TP'd. He came right back into a stun from Froggen, so he gets one of those potions out early. He gets a little bit of trade damage down, and it's always so nice when you still have your teleport to be able to kind of dump your resources and pressure their health bar or mana bar a little bit before you then come back with your teleport to try to really make good on that advantage.
Absolutely. Both our top laners, though, still having teleports. You can see Solo wanting to push up here, make sure this wave collides with the turret, then give himself the opportunity to get back. He knows Hauntzer is pretty low on mana, so there's not really a chance there for the Sylas to try to go all in on him, especially with neither of them having an ignite like you might see in solo queue. Not too worried about the death potential there, as bottom side, Lost is doing what Sivir does, shoving this Ezreal lane in, but when you draft an Ezreal Tahm Kench lane, you expect to be getting pretty familiar with the sights, sounds, and scenery of your turret.
Yeah, you definitely do, but you know, it's not a place you like to be against Sivir, who's going to be able to shove you in so quickly, who's going to be outscaling you. You know, there's so many advantages that Echo Fox is going to have if you're just sitting patiently in that 2v2 on the bot side. So we will see what Golden Guardians can get done elsewhere on the map. Certainly there's no pressure just yet for them to have gotten something done, and Skarner is coming down here now.
Predator has already been topped. Ole trying to go after it, make sure he gets the gobble. The flash has already been used. Hakuo is going to be stunned up. The damage comes down. More coming through. And first blood over to Contracts.
Yeah, very nicely done there from Contracts. And Hakuo wandering into the river there, but Tahm Kench has so much staying power when he gets on top of you. The stun into the Devour bought so much time for Contracts to get over there with those Predator boots and clean up that kill.
Getting that onto Contracts means he will be able to get himself off to a much faster start. Anytime you can grab a kill with Skarner before having the ulti always feels really good because that's what the champion's known for. But let's take another look at how they set this one up here. Ole getting some licks.
Yeah, exactly. There's just so little way to actually escape. He dropped the exhaust very early for the slow, then Flash gets that Devour after the third stack, and once Contracts arrive, there's no chance that Nautilus is ever going to get out of there.
Contracts now picking up his blue smite as well, means he'll be able to set up those plays much more easily to land subsequent E's and make sure he can land the stuns with them. Rush is level 6 to Contracts is level 5. Rush took advantage of the fact that he was able to farm up while his opponent was making the gank happen. Of course, you would rather have the kill under your belt, but that will be an edge he has if they get into a 2v2 before Contracts hits the ultimate himself, but he is very close. A little bit over half. Should take one more camp. Once he grabs this red buff on the second spawn, should give him exactly what he needs. Both junglers also having the flash, as solo laners will be hitting that level 6 point. All of them already there, except for Yusui on this rise. We could see some big plays coming out there. Nice stun. So I'm gonna make sure he lands that one, but doesn't want to go any deeper.
Yeah, it was a well-timed route there from Yusui, and Haunter's making the roam down, but Rush is here. This would be a dangerous dive.
And they managed to get themselves out of trouble. They notice what's happening before they make contact underneath the turret. If that damage would have come out, it could have gone a lot sketchier.
Yeah, it could have gone really poorly there. You know, it's a nice run, though, from Haunter. He had already pushed up the wave, so he's not really losing much of anything for making that move. And had Rush not been in the area, that's a potential dive you can pull off. So I do like the attempt. And also that they are trying to be proactive when top lane, you know, is going to be pressured kind of in these earlier levels. It does feel like Silas is getting the worst end of these trades. And Froggen is already out to a very strong lead, so if you can get him snowballing, if you can get that early kill for him, he can take over.
You can see Golden Guardians now going after the Ocean Drake. They are walking over the Scuttle Crab, so Echo Fox will be aware of the fact that this is being taken. Rush gets himself licked there by Ole. Contracts with the Smite secure to make sure they've got that one taken care of. Definitely now could be in some trouble. Him and Contracts are going to have to get out over the wall. Contracts goes over, definitely goes over. Ole's there to gobble him up. Rush is not able to find what he's looking for. Instead, going to be pulled back. The damage is
Here's
down.
Solo.
It's 1 for 1, but Solo's made his way into the fight now, too. Ole, no flash. Remember, he had to use it earlier to find the kill onto the enemy support. Froggen now going to be grabbed up. Hawkwell making sure they're able to continue that initiation there. Golden Guardians getting themselves away, and it will be a 1 for 1.
Yeah, Golden Guardians, it is a 1 for 1, but at the same time, Haunter was down, you know, a fair bit of farm. He actually gets the time to push in this wave to be able to deny a lot of that and gets a turret play for himself. So Haunter really the big winner off of this play. And the early Ocean is going to mean so much for especially these solo laners, but also definitely who is going to be fairly mana hungry. You know, these are 5 mana bars in Golden Guardians that are not going to be going dry anytime soon. So here it is one more time. Flash Unburrow off of the hook. And Rush goes in for the ultimate, but Ole is right there, so you're not going to be able to really get anything done. And Contract's able to turn that around with his own ultimate getting dropped. Yasui flashes forward. They do get 1 kill, but then as Solo is tapped out on energy, they just don't have enough to take down Ole.
And against something like a damage Rek'Sai that's going to be going for the Warrior, you don't see Rek'Sai's go for Cinder Hulk anymore. And against something like an Akali, this is a very important part about Skarner that a lot of people don't necessarily think about when they first think of the champion, because they think, oh, you've got to pull carries. You've always got to go for the back line, pull the 80 carry, yada, yada. Nah. No. Skarner is best in an assassin meta because all you do is sit on your own guys, and as soon as the enemy carries dive you, you immediately put them in the net. Bye, see you later, have no fun, do not cross go, do not collect $200, go straight to jail, you're out of there. That's exactly what the champion's looking to do, and it makes it oh so easy, and it makes the QSS tax that much more stressful for the likes of Rush and Soul.
Yeah, it really does. And, you know, I was just laughing at the fact that Rush tunnels in, tunnels immediately out, like, whoop!
It's like, all right, see you later, boys.
Maybe getting caught out here again, but they're looking to wrap around onto Yasui, who has done a good job of absorbing some of this pressure, but I do agree, you know, it's not even just the Rek'Sai. Really, any of these champions that are moving forward, you can actually just drop your ultimate on. The Akali, Ryze is relatively short range. If you're able to grab Server, sure, that's jackpot, but you can grab any of the members from the top side of the map, the soul laners or the jungler, and focus those guys down. You know, Akali relies so much on her Shroud and being very evasive to actually have that survivability. She doesn't have those straight up kind of tanky stats, so if you can alter out of that, you get knocked down so easily.
And it used to be very difficult because at the rate the champion refreshed in the Shroud after exposing herself to do damage, it was very difficult to actually grab her. She would go back into the stealth and your animation would cancel itself. Since the changes to the champion, the nerfs that made it so she stayed visible long enough for turrets to shoot her, etc., Skarner Tail is a lot like a turret shot. It will kill you dead. And that means if she does pop out of the Shroud, it's very easy for her to meet her fate that way. But Solo is currently slightly down in this matchup. Will be mostly even on CS as long as he farms up this whole wave. Haunter nearly having the Proto Belt complete, but not having the item fully done is pretty big as he does not have the active. And you can see Contracts here doing what Skarner also does very well, soloing down neutral objectives.
Yeah, using those Spires, all the additional attack speed is so powerful, honestly. When you are sitting on that Spire, you can solo things out very effectively.
People don't realize how much stats this actually gives him. At level 7, he gets 74% attack speed from being on a Spire. It is a ton. By the time you get to level 18, you get 140. So next time you try to fight Skarner on the Spire, remember how much attack speed that gives. As topside, it's Froggen looking to make a play here onto Solo. Wants the stun, won't be able to find it. Contracts now up here into the top side as well, using the Predator. And because Solo knows that, he's getting himself away. Shelly's going to be summoned. This is plate money. Ready for the taking. Golden Guardians are cashing in. Kaboom goes the headbutt. There goes the gold into the Golden Guardians' pockets. And that is a big play coming out for them. 2K up now.
And Golden Guardians are honestly looking great. I mean, we've seen Haunter come down to mid lane. We have seen Contracts constantly trying to pressure Yusui, getting Froggen even more of an advantage there. Now taking that mid lane lead and bringing it up to the top side, forcing the Akali ultimate out, which is the only way she has to actually interrupt the Shelly summon. Then you just drop that, you get first turret, you cash in all the plates, and Golden Guardians really feel like they have things working for them in the early stages of this game.
That being said, I do want to talk about the guy on your screen right now in Lost. Does have a 20 farm advantage over his opponent. Is playing that I can outgreed the Ezreal champion in the Sivir, will be a huge threat in the late game if he can get to his item breakpoints. And right now it seems that's where the faith in Echo Fox is being placed. They're saying, all right, Golden Guardians putting a lot of attention on the top side of the map. Lost, farm up. You are the win condition.
Yeah, he certainly is. And we'll see, though, do Golden Guardians even kind of opt into those team fights? Because you can certainly look for more of a 1-3-1 style of play when you do have the Sylas and the Aurelia. And, in those kind of games, sometimes the game is decided away from that Sivir, or is decided, in the rotations where people are getting picked off as they're trying to move between lanes. Because Skarner, plus one of these solo laners, is certainly going to be a really powerful 2v2 against really anything you can throw at them from the side of the Echo Fox.
Still no QSSs purchased on the side of Echo Fox either. Means there's no way out of that Skarner pull for anyone, unless, of course, you accidentally proc it on the Sivir shield. No one else has any way to escape it. So very, very reliable lockdown. Point and click for the side of Golden Guardians, who also have the Flash and Predator available on that jungler. Froggen not yet having his first item completed. You can see Haunter also opted to sit on the parts of the Proto Belt and go for the Lost Chapter instead. More mana regeneration, more ability to just spam those waves down there in the top side. As mid lane, Yusui will keep clearing things up here on this rise. He is down about 20 CS to his lane opponent in Froggen, but continuing to stack the tier in the form of that Archangel Staff is exactly what Rise wants to be doing 15 minutes into this game.
And to me, this kind of feels like the Sylas version of the garage sale CDR build, where you are just trying to really rush to as much CDR as possible. Proto Belt certainly is very powerful, in any sort of team fight scenario. But if you think that you're just going to be sitting in side lanes anyway, then grabbing the extra mana, grabbing the extra CDR and AP, going to be pretty powerful from that Lost Chapter, and likely working towards the Ludens, plus that Proto Belt, which will give you a tremendous amount of wave clear with both the active and the proc.
You can see Golden Guardians there waiting to see if maybe Yusui would come up a little bit closer, set themselves up a trap there with Contracts and Froggen together, but they will not find it. Instead, they're just going to keep those guys down there as Ole and Deathleaf will hang out here in the mid lane.
Yeah, and pretty much no one is going to be able to 1v1 Froggen right now. That early Triforce completion is always so terrifying when you are going up against an Aurelia. So you're going to have Contracts kind of down here on this bottom side. He's shadowing Froggen very heavily, knowing that they should win any sort of 2v2 that does get opted into. And Golden Guardians also have the added benefit of the Tahm Kench, who's going to be able to respond to those side lanes very, very effectively. So it feels like for Echo Fox, it's going to be more about picking their moment and finding an engage, with the Sivir, with this Nautilus.
Contracts popping the Predator there again. Thought about maybe going for the turret dive onto Yusui in the bottom lane with Froggen. Didn't want to risk it. They know they're ahead, but they're not dive you from full HP when we have no vision on the rest of your team ahead. Not wanting to make those unnecessary risks. Seems like a pretty smart plan, as Contracts will walk over a control ward. Well aware of the fact that Echo Fox knows he's here, wants to go in anyway, able to find the pull, drags him back around right towards the rest of the team's waiting arms. And that is a pick for the side of the Golden Guardians. Now they've got the opportunity to make it 2 onto Solo, who TP'd in the fight, but now he's going to be in some trouble. It's Haunter executing him with his own perfect execution. Ole's got a beautiful save. Haunter's finally going to be taken down there, but it's still a 3-for-1 for Golden Guardians.
Yeah, Rush able to trade one back, but the movement around the map has been so clean from the Golden Guardians in game number 1. They're running them across the map, moving back and forth, then coming in with both Contracts and the Abyssal Voyage, four-manning Yusui. No chance for him to get out of there, and they're going to knock down another turret. They're going to go +2 in the kills, and Golden Guardians are playing this out so damn well.
Echo Fox will respond with a tier 1 turret of their own here in the mid lane, but they're still just behind the pace of the game that Golden Guardians is setting right now. And let's take another look at how they did this in the bottom lane. Pro view replay for Ole.
Yeah, you can see Ole using that Abyssal Voyage right as he's getting that ultimate from Contracts over onto the Rise. No chance for Yasui to get out. Does go down almost immediately, and then the stolen Akali ult is going to be used aggressively here by Hanser to clean up another kill.
And for those of you who were wanting even more Skarner tips and tricks, what Contracts did there was perfect. He drags his opponent to the edge of the turret range, so he's not tanking it any longer, but does not continue to drag him over to the wall to give him the opportunity to flash over it. Dead center of the lane, right on top of your teammate, perfectly communicated by the Golden Guardians there for where they wanted that pull to be.
Yeah, very nicely done, and it really does showcase the power of the Tahm Kench. You know, the Abyssal Voyage is pretty much why this is such a hotly contested pick. You know, in pro play, it gives you so much side lane control. It makes it very difficult, even from an advantage, to have much of an aggressive split push going on the opposing team. And in this situation, the solo laners are not only stronger on Golden Guardians, but they're supported by that Tahm Kench.
And Golden Guardians is looking good so far this game. They got 2 Drakes, they got 2 turrets, they got 5 kills, and they're making the pace of the game quick, which is what I want to see from teams that, as you said, are not in that top 3 that everyone considers elite when they look at the LCS in TSM, Cloud9, and Team Liquid. Golden Guardians is one of those teams that people are looking at, hey, maybe they could challenge that. Maybe these are one of the guys that can step up and make it to that level. And by playing a fast, lethal style of League of Legends that goes to the jugular, that is your most convincing argument you can make to me.
It really is, and I think also, you know, showcasing a different style, right? We didn't see Aurelia at all in spring, not a single time from this team, and now, you know, bringing it out, showcasing the proficiency there, you know, certainly has looked like a very strong game from them, and I do like the move towards Righteous Glory here from Contracts. Yep. You know, there is not a tremendous amount of engage on this team, so a lot of the onus is on this Skarner. Not only will he have Predator, but the Righteous Glory is going to allow you to really catch anyone who is in these side lanes, and that is very clearly Golden Guardian's win condition. Push out a side lane, force someone to answer, then have Skarner help to pick them off.
And also, because Skarner is almost always going to want to run Ingenious Hunter, make sure he lowers the cooldown of active items through his keystones. You can see he's got full kill participation right now. There are deaths on 4 out of 5 of the enemy members. That means that's almost fully stacked, so those uptimes will be huge here for Golden Guardians. Their playmaking opportunity will be that much better. And speaking of playmaking, important to keep in mind, look at that icon next to Hanser's health bar. That's a Nautilus ulti, which means Echo Fox has to steer very clear of anything but a perfect engage.
Yeah, you have to be really careful, because anytime you are drafting these kind of powerful engage ultimates, Hanser can just take them right away from you, and he's just essentially having a more powerful version of that, right? There is some good AP scaling on it. Hawkwo not only going to be lower level, but not going to have the luxury of building up that AP, so the Sylas is going to have, you know, some pretty powerful ults to actually choose from. I think Akali is very powerful, Nautilus, and Sivir, alongside a lot of these melee kind of champions who want to charge in, like the Skarner and the Aurelia, is pretty damn good too.
I mean, we saw Hanser execute solo with his own Akali ultimate in the last fight in bottom lane. Clearly, he knows exactly which tools are available at his disposal. Froggen farming up here in the mid lane with that Trinity Force he's had for a while. Needs about 50 more gold. This Cannon Minion should do it, and he'll go back to base, pick up the Sterix Gauge, and that just opens up a whole new level of team fighting for Golden Guardians, as Froggen can dive into that backline, not worry about being blown up by the high burst of the champions like Ryze and Akali, and it's just that much harder for Echo Fox.
Yeah, I mean, Sterix makes it so tough to actually burst down the Aurelia, especially in conjunction with that W. And yes, it doesn't reduce the magic damage anymore, but still, you know, Sivir as well as Rek'Sai are going to have a lot of their damage cut down by that. And you know, the fact that you are so evasive dashing around the team fights makes it difficult to get that consistent damage down on an Aurelia. And it's one of the most difficult champions to take down from ahead.
Oh, Ole managed to get the lick there, but Solo escapes with good use of the ultimate and the Shroud. Doesn't even have to utilize the flash to get out. Very important to have that summoner still ready to go, but without the ulti, Akali's team fight threat is significantly reduced. Recognizing this, Golden Guardians stick around at least long enough to get a little bit of damage onto this tier 2 turret. Contracts did use the Predator back there. Righteous Glory also currently on cooldown. And you can see the True Shot Barrage not quite going to find a whole lot. But Golden Guardians still in control of this game. Echo Fox on the back foot for a while.
Yeah, they really have been, and I think Contracts has so deserving of credit from this game. You know, he really has been playing very well, pressuring the solos constantly, and even just small moves like that, coming in with the Tahm Kench, you know, forcing out the ultimate, as you said. It's not even just about the team fight. There's no chance you can go for a 1v1. There's no chance you really can do much of anything except play defensively until that ultimate is back up. So it's just buying even more time for Haunter and Froggen to kind of continue this run on the map.
Contract sitting in the brush of the Echo Fox jungle. He's still got the flash, he's still got the ulti. Even if you don't have either of your active items ready to go, which he does in the Righteous Glory, you can still make a big play if someone walks a little bit too close. QSS count, critically, still 0 across the board for Echo Fox. Everyone is vulnerable.
And that's one of the tough things about when you are behind against champions like Malzahar and Skarner. They're building up, you know, these tanky stats, you know, on the Skarner, and there's all these champions that are outpacing you damage-wise. You have to deal with things like the Sterix as well in the Aurelia, so you need enough damage to actually be able to deal with these champions, ultimate or not. So you often don't feel like you can actually pay that QSS tax without putting your damage profile just even further behind.
It's the double-edged sword of being a champion that's hard countered by a QSS. It feels bad when it's easy for them to afford it because you think, well, how do I make a play now? But when it's really stressful for them to afford it, you feel like you're doing so much more damage to their economies than anybody else could hope to do. So definitely will grab up the blue buff for himself here on the Ezreal. Does have that Muramana completely stacked, so the poke will be real here if Echo Fox comes anywhere close.
And certainly something that is a positive for this Echo Fox squad is the fact that we see IE and Essence Reaver completed. Hawko going to get grabbed, but no one else is here just yet.
Yeah, that was a little ambitious from Contracts. Goes after that one and tries to pull him, but not going to bring him to any nearby allies just yet. Also, for those curious, when you're going for a pull like that and your opponent is very obviously going to be caught, no way out, no allies immediately nearby, mark them with the E first so that when you pull them, the poison will still be on and you get immediate stun afterwards. Exactly where you want to grab them, as now Rush will clear out some wards, try to maintain some vision, but man, it's hard now for Echo Fox.
It definitely is, and I'm not sure if Contracts was expecting Abyssal Voyage to maybe come in a little bit quicker or thought Ole was in range or something along those lines, because it was certainly a pretty ambitious ultimate that he was going for. But yeah, I mean, Essence Reaver IE done for Lost. 3 items is normally where people point to for the Sivir to really become very, very powerful. And then there are more opportunities. Certainly it's going to be difficult for Lost to stay alive against all these powerful carries on the side of Golden Guardians. But if you are able to create space for this Sivir, Echo Fox has the opportunity to win a fight, so you don't certainly want to allow them to sit around for too long for Golden Guardians, and I think they've done a good job thus far of increasing their lead, of taking all the neutral objectives, but you want to see them in the next couple of minutes be pressuring this Baron. If you just start to stall out from this point and sit back and allow them to scale, you're giving Echo Fox more ways in.
They just tried to find a way in there with a dredge line from Hakuo, but Golden Guardians got themselves back in time to not be cut out by that one. 2 mountains plus an ocean. Yeah, that's definitely a recipe for some Baron control. That's what we want to see. That's exactly in line with what I said earlier as well in terms of show me some fast-paced League of Legends. Don't just sit on your laurels and wait. Yusui, nice pull coming out from Contracts there. The CC will cancel it out, but now do they have the follow-up they need? Yusui's going to be taken low, rushes the back line, taken very low now himself. Froggen's able to make the TP into the fight and find the kill. Hakuo flashes out, but now Solo's made his way into the mix, only to be forced out of the Shroud. Ole has thick skin on and up. Solo's still looking to maybe make some sort of a cleanup happen here, but he just does not have the tool, and definitely nearly takes him down. It's a 1-0 Golden Guardian.
Yeah, and ulting straight into the pit with that Abyssal Voyage. They are going to start it up. They know that Rush is down. Solo has to go back to base, has no TP. So it's all up to Lost and Hakuo. We'll see if they can make a miracle happen, but it looks like it's just gone.
No water to wine today, Azael. That is a Baron secured by the side of Golden Guardians, just shy of 25 minutes in.
And that is exactly what you want to see. They don't have the strongest Baron take, so they force a fight, they get a pick, and then they use that to allow themselves to get that access to the Baron. So right on demand, Golden Guardians really checking all the boxes this game, looking like they are on pace to get one of those quickly cleaned up games. And oh, Solo failing the shuriken flip there. You know, wanted to try to follow, I believe, because you can actually do that with the shuriken flip.
Yeah.
If you hit someone with the shuriken flip, you can wait till the TP comes through and then actually fly across the whole map, which would have been pretty sick. But either way, you know, you saw Yusui get picked off, so he is put down so low in health before the rest of the team even arrives. So Yusui is not really able to contribute anything whatsoever. Everyone is coming in just to try to peel and keep him alive. which means that Rush goes in, but there's no real damage coming out from the Rise. You know, Lost wasn't actually with the rest of the team when that fight broke out, so Golden Guardians just better coordinated, faster TPs coming in, and they're the ones choosing to engage, and as a result, they cleanly win that fight.
And a game like this is a very difficult situation for a Rex site. If you're 0-3-2, the early game didn't go your way, now you're a champion that's made for the early and mid games, forced into a situation where we're rapidly approaching late game, where opposing teams are getting 3 items completed. Your opportunities to really make plays happen, the amount of decision-making you have is very limited.
Yeah, I mean, you're pretty worthless at this point. You know, at least if it was someone that was a low mobility, marksman, maybe you can try to dump all your damage in them, push them back, but Ezreal is so hard to take down, and there's a Tahm Kench. The other 3, you have no chance of even being able to threaten. I mean, he's down 4 levels on Froggen, and Froggen has, full extra items. So
yeah,
there's really nothing you can do. Like, you're basically a knock-up and a small distraction at this point. It's all eggs in the Rise and Silver Basket, it feels like. Maybe Solo can make something happen, but they've got a delay for a long time because the level differences alone are very, very big between these solo laners.
Golden Guardians working on the last standing tier 2, and by the time I even finish the sentence, that thing is reduced to rubble. Pressuring 3 lanes at once now, the classic 1-3-1. Contracts hovering back and forth between the bottom and mid lanes just to make sure anybody who needs his help will get it. No flash available on that jungler, but does have both the Righteous Glory and almost the Predator. Not quite that one ready just yet, as Echo Fox tries to make sure they hold these lanes as well as they can. They still have 1 more minute of Baron buff to endure.
I mean, they have good wave clear, but not sure if it's going to be enough, and we'll see if Golden Guardians are willing to make their move because this mid lane turret is getting very low. Definitely may just straight up knock it down here.
Ever since the rework to the Ezreal W, he's so effective at putting in bursty damage onto the turrets. But the bottom lane tier 3 is the one to fall first. Contract says, you're coming with me, Rush. Ole is the one who gets the kill. Golden Guardians make it a 5 versus 4 for the next 35 seconds, and they are just moving around the base, demolishing things, as Haunter will scare Solo away from the top side. He's got to try to get himself out of this one. Skarner E not quite going to find the mark, but does not matter. They managed to make them retreat, expose the inhib. Easy money there for the Golden Guardians, as they've got the minion wave here as well. Haunter once again stealing away that Nautilus ultimate from Hakuo. Froggen's able to go in. Vanguard's edge down onto 3. Hakuo going to be bursted down, and he's not even in the picture any longer. Froggen looking to make even more happen. Guardian Angel not even going to be required. Gobbled up, taken down. Golden Guardians are going to start Summer Split off looking clean.
What a game. 28.5 minutes. Golden Guardians just run over Echo Fox. And this was a different style than we saw in spring. It's Golden Guardians coming out swinging here in summer, playing a very up-tempo game, moving around, playing these flex picks very, very well, working extremely well, not only with top, in jungle, but mid and jungle, all the solo laners, moving around the map and helping each other get even further ahead.
This definitely does not look like a team that had a 0-4 start last split. They are starting summer off much better. Contracts all around the map, making things happen. Both solo laners in these flex pick matchups that, as we already discussed, seem like they are a very prevalent part of League of Legends right now, showcasing their ability to play those well, and even definitely an Ole, whose job was, okay, just farm up. We're not going to invest into you. You're probably going to lose your lane. Do so gracefully. That's about as graceful as you could ask for. You get to the end of the game, definitely is at 0, 1, and 8. That's just fine.
Yeah, it certainly is. And we saw Tahm Kench be very effective, throughout the mid game. As soon as he had his Abyssal Voyage, as soon as he had that ultimate available, he was everywhere helping those solo laners out, being able to pull off dives. They were constantly pressuring Yasui in mid lane. And I honestly think this is a very impressive game, not only for how they executed it in this particular game, but also, going forward, as you talked about, this was kind of the MSI meta. They just showed that they can play these flex picks to a high level, and I think that does add an additional wrinkle that these other teams are going to have to take in consideration. You have to respect those bans now.
It was quick, it was clean, it was a damn fine start from the Golden Guardians, and to hear more from the players on stage, Obli is standing by with an interview with their support.
Thanks, Flowers. Ole, congratulations on the win, starting the split off right for Golden Guardians. And for you, no deaths. So with that strong performance, what did the team do over the break to level up for summer?
I think AD carry and top, like Kevin and Matthew, went to Korea for bootcamp to make better mechanic stuff. And I got feedback from our management about my daily schedule. Like I didn't sleep well, and then my sleep time, and then I went to hospital, and then they say my sleep quality is so bad. So I was like focusing on my individual stuff.
You went to the hospital. Are you okay now?
No, it's not hospital. It's just like I don't know. It's not serious. It's just like, oh, you just like see the doctor and then say something. And yeah, that's it.
Okay, as long as you're healthy, that's all we care about. But
I look healthy, right?
you look better than ever, Ole. But I want to ask you, because on social media, you've been very public about starting almost like a spiritual growth or a spiritual journey, starting with cutting your hair. So what can you tell me about that?
I mean, for the individual stuff, I just watching like so many YouTube video in my room, and like there were so many like motivational video and then some Netflix video. I think I watched like so many stuff, and what else? I don't. I'm thinking.
You told me before you found like inspirational quotes or that meditation may have helped
meditation.
you.
Yeah. And then I watched some meditation videos. I just copy it, and then watch some Buddhist, and I don't know. I try everything. So nowadays I've been working out and eating nice food. Yeah, I feel like I feel so good. And then I took a bath with bath bomb today. Yeah, woo!
That's nice. What does the rest of the team think about your shift in mentality? Have they adopted or tried to adopt it as well?
Yeah, they were like, "Who are you?" You know, I was like, "Hello."
So with the new mental shift, is that going to change how Golden Guardians operates at all, or how you all communicate and work as a team?
I think in spring I play well and I play bad. Like I have like up and down so much. So I think now I can play really consistently. So I believe our team can be much better.
I'm excited for this new summer bath bomb using Ole, but thank you and congratulations again. And to wrap up the day, let's hear from the State Farm Analyst Desk.
Thank you very much, Avli. Looking good, Ole. I'm glad to see that smiling face on the stage. Talking about his own personal journey between last split to this split. And, I mean, at least in terms of the way he's presented himself on stage, it's very much
It's so
a change.
important that you keep an eye on your health when you're playing games professionally, because you're sitting down, you're not very active. So the fact that he's eating well, he's taking care of himself, going to the doctor, it's great. It's a good sign for a long, prosperous career.
Seems like he's trying to become closer to a catfish and has been very good. He is synonymous with Tom Kench for me. He is like the Tom Kench player in North America, and he had another great performance on it. Ended the game with a 100% kill participation.
Yeah.
So,
No deaths.
yeah, this was a slaughter, if we're being honest.
A phenomenal first outing for Golden Guardians, who were on a pretty big upswing at the end of last split. I mean, Echo Fox as well did pop up into that top 6, but Golden Guardians, I know, was a team that at least personally impressed near the later part of their season, and they come back here making a statement in Game 1. In particular, it was the Tom Kench and the Skarner linking up to make things happen in the bot lane.
I mean, you rarely see this. A Skarner pre-6 gank on the Nautilus. It's a target that should be able to get out of a few ganks, but in the end, it just wasn't enough.
Yoink.
And look at that. Skarner once again
Yoink.
against Rek'Sai. We've seen this matchup a lot. It sucks for Rek'Sai. It's really bad because Skarner just yoinks you out of your tunnel every
What
time.
does Skarner do?
Yoink.
Yoink.
Oh, okay.
And I mean, the thing to be fair is like no one's really playing Tom Kench. He was hit with some pretty substantial nerfs for support Tom Kench with how his W works. You can't walk as quickly with allies in your stomach. You can't flash for them in there anymore. There's a number of things that make him worse as support. So to see Ole still playing it and doing extremely well on it is surprising. Doesn't need to start hitting people's ban table against him. I don't know quite yet, but he kind of was the star of the show, the game.
And while defensively it may have been nerfed a bit, I think what I notice here is that in a lot of cases, the Tom Kench was being used offensively, right? Actually using the ult to get into the side lane and collapse, flashing with the exhaust to make sure that the Devour comes through offensively and the kills come across. And so really solid performance out of him on the side of Golden Guardians. But I do want to talk about two of the members that are stepping up onto the LCS stage for Echo Fox, and that's Yusui and Lost. I mean, both of these guys have played professionally in the past, but getting their opportunity back on the LCS stage here, how do we feel?
Got to see some more, but unfortunately, it wasn't the performance that would inspire you at the moment. I think that you still need to find a lot of cohesion right now. The meta is not one where an individual player can just do amazingly and then solo carry the game. You need to have that synergy. You need to understand what rotations you're going to take with your team, and I didn't see that there from Echo Fox, so they just need a lot more work together before we get to say, all right, they're a great fit here.
And this just brings me back to your reservations in a sense from the top of the day, or at least acknowledging that you are an Apollo, fan in the sense that he's a solid North American AD carry, and so it's a little bit peculiar to pull him out.
Yeah, I think, there was a reason that Apollo and Hakuho were two of the longest standing bot laners together. They pretty much always had good bot lane performances, good CSDs, good DPMs for the most part. And it was the kind of thing where, yeah, they're not your superstar carry, and maybe that's what Echo Fox is looking for right now on this roster, with as well as having Yasui.
But I don't. Wait, that's why they were doing so well last split at the end.
They want to do even better. I don't know. I think even more problematic was just Yasui and I think Rush were on two different pages a lot of this game. And it was a game where all the OPs were left up. Everyone was getting their flex picks. Aurelion to Ryze is pretty good, all things considered, for the Aurelia. And so if was a difficult matchup, and they were getting outperformed as a team. So it was hard to kind of judge individual pieces when Golden Guardians look so cohesive.
So you're telling me that last split was really just Michael Jordan's special juice at the end that got him through that they believed it, and then now they were back down to reality.
Self-Made says, going into playoffs as a mediocre team is nothing to be proud of. It's one of the things on Reddit right now. So I think that's probably a sentiment some other people share.
Yeah.
Like, going in as the 6th place team, what are you really, really accomplishing long term? So I think maybe that's the perspective Echo Fox is taking.
Without a doubt, and that's valid, right? We don't know necessarily what those conversations behind the scenes are in order to arrive at this. I just think, to your point, Crumbs, you sit and you go, well, if there was an upward trend, why are we heading that off? Why are we assuming that we're plateaued when we're on the upswing? At least wait for the plateau or the swing back down to maybe make a change. Again, all of this on day one of the LCS. It is far too early to make drastic.
I believe everything we saw today.
We have high standards.
Because we're going to do that tomorrow, I tell you that much. So we'll reserve some of those conclusions for today. But with the conclusion of opening day, let's take a look at the standings. We've got Cloud9, Counterlogic Gaming, Golden Guardians, Team Liquid, and Optic all starting the split on the right note, while the remaining teams aim for their first wins tomorrow. Let's take a look, though, at how the predictions played out, because there was a difference there in that third game of the day. The only one where a difference did occur. We get the Clutch Gaming call wrong, but of course...
Oh, we got a lot wrong.
We got TSM wrong.
Oh, true. Yeah, actually, so...
we got TSM and Optic wrong.
I got two.
You got three wrong,
two
Mark.
wrong.
Yeah, and
I'll be honest, I'm a slow starter, all right?
Yeah, you always are, that's true.
I always finish fine, and I'll be at 50% or something garbage at week 5, but then I'll finish at like 75%.
This is his stick, right? Lower expectations so much that everything else is just positive.
We're starting to clue into Mark's game here, I see.
I don't enjoy starting slow. I'm not saying it's a good strategy.
You don't just go home and have a devious smile on your face?
That's the strategy that works really well for me dating. You start lowering expectations from the very get-go, so everything you do from that point on.
Does your girlfriend watch this show?
It's amazing. Every once in a while.
He also admitted he wants to trick her into cooking more food for him.
Shut up. Oh, no.
Yeah.
All right. Opening weekend keeps on rolling tomorrow as we return for the LCS countdown at 11:30 a.m. PST with a Yumi breakdown, some over-unders where we will make those wild conclusions, and then, of course, the return of the infamous weekly wager. Game 1 follows at noon with Clutch Gaming versus Cloud9, then FlyQuest opposite Golden Guardians in a rematch of the 5-game quarterfinal, and 3 more matches before LCS cooldown, which will be followed by our Academy Showcase, Team Liquid Academy versus TSM Academy. I think what's really cool about tomorrow's games is that with that Golden Guardians victory, we have guaranteed that all 5 of our matchups tomorrow are a 1-0 team against an 0-1 team. So, of course, if all the 1-0 teams take a victory, we end up with an entirely split league, 2-0 to 0-2.
That would be the best day or week 1 of all time.
Has that ever happened? I can't imagine that's ever happened.
No,
yeah,
I don't think
I would have a hard time believing it ever did. I'm sure we can figure that out.
Put me down for all the teams with 1 win for predictions tomorrow. Ring it up.
All right, lock it in. He said it. But that's going to do it for us here on day 1 of opening weekend for the LCS. So now for myself, the casters, the entire live broadcast crew, thank you for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow for more of the LCS. Good night.
Cheers.